I was treading through the darkness like a ghost when suddenly, my boot snagged on something. I gave my foot a sharp jerk, but in the very next fraction of a second a blinding light erupted. I had stepped right into an enemy trap, a hidden rigged tripwire flare. The moment the flare ignited, a relentless barrage of automatic weapons fire and hand grenades rained down from above. I dropped flat onto the ravine floor. In this sector, under a bilateral agreement, the enemy was supposed to share their minefield layouts. They failed to do so, though they had placed small flags to protect their own troops. Fortunately, several feet of deep snow had temporarily deactivated and neutralized the landmines. The thick snow layer prevented the required weight from triggering the landmine mechanisms. Staying completely clear of the perimeter wire, I began my descent down the mountain slope. Checking my watch, it was exactly 3 a.m. I had been marching continuously since 10 p.m. the previous night. It had been a grueling 5-hour journey, with only 2.5 hours left before the first ray of dawn. Suddenly, sporadic gunfire echoed. The sentries had probably panicked and fired at some animal's movement. Taking precautions, I attached the suppressor to my pistol and cautiously pushed forward. I was overwhelmingly thirsty, but the fresh water spring was buried deep beneath the thick snow. Dropping into the ravine for water would have been a fatal blunder. A sniper must have the willpower to endure. As I pushed forward, the forest ended, and the sight of freshly chopped tree stumps put me on high alert. The enemy had carried out extensive deforestation here specifically to clear their field of fire. To avoid the open area, I began dropping down toward a narrow stream bed inside the ravine. Hearing the sound of flowing water, I took off my gloves, drank my fill, and refilled my canteen. The next 500 yards were extremely hazardous because I had to pass right through the enemy post's perimeter. That enemy outpost was barely 50 to 60 yards above the ravine on a vertical slope. The moon had vanished behind the mountain, leaving the gully in a suffocating pitch-black darkness. I was treading through the darkness like a ghost when suddenly, my boot snagged on something. I gave my foot a sharp jerk, but in the very next fraction of a second a blinding light erupted. I had stepped right into an enemy trap, a hidden rigged tripwire flare. The moment the flare ignited, a relentless barrage of automatic weapons fire and hand grenades rained down from above. I dropped flat onto the ravine floor. They made a tactical error by not placing a cutoff force on the opposite bank. As the tripwire flare burned out, the darkness became even more suffocating than before. From above, the commander shouted, "Is he dead or alive?" Another replied, "Fire an illumination round." Seeing my chance, I abandoned my position. The next instant, I heard the thud of a mortar launching an illumination round. Before the round could burst and light up the sky, I sprinted 4 or 5 paces and dove behind solid cover. I switched my rifle to semi-automatic. An enemy soldier stepped out of his trench, leaving himself completely exposed. At such a short distance, a sniper doesn't need a prolonged aim. I simply squeezed the trigger. With a sharp cracking report, his agonizing scream echoed as he collapsed from a direct hit to the chest. The enemy panicked, yelling, "Get back into the trenches." To keep the psychological pressure on, I lobbed a grenade up at them. As the grenade exploded, I fired 2 or 3 single rounds and quickly broke away from the engagement zone. I was sprinting at full speed when my boot struck a jagged rock, sending me crashing to my knees. After forcefully massaging my battered knees, I pushed forward again with long, heavy strides. Behind me, the enemy was blindly firing at an empty outpost, but I had neither infinite ammunition nor time to waste. The ravine bed gradually leveled out and widened. I had successfully put a safe 1.5 mile distance between myself and that post. Suddenly, the bouncing beams of tactical flashlights appeared ahead, roughly 100 yards away. It was the enemy's rapid reaction force, rushing toward the previous engagement, mistaking it for a major freedom fighter assault. Their tactical error worked entirely to my advantage. I took cover behind a massive boulder, gaining absolute ballistic protection. The patrol passed right by me. Since the sector had been stripped of its surveillance, I resumed my advance. After covering another half mile, daylight began to break, forcing me to push my physical speed to the absolute limit. My bruised knee was throbbing with pain, but as the morning light spread, finding a secure hiding spot became critical. At a sharp turn in the ravine, a civilian settlement came into view. But a stranger appearing there would instantly trigger suspicion. Due to the Army's ongoing search operations, any host or innocent villager could become a victim of the enemy's cruelty. Therefore, I turned away and headed toward the tree line of a massive, dense forest on the southern ridge. Climbing the vertical ascent into the forest, I found a dense brush cluster that offered total concealment. Using my razor-sharp combat knife to cut back the branches, I constructed a concealed observation platform. Building a treetop platform on the giant pine and cedar trees was impossible, and they offered no room to lie flat. With the platform ready inside the thick bushes, I used my tactical pack as a makeshift pillow and lay down. The entire night had been spent sprinting and evading, so under the filtered forest sunlight I fell into a deep sleep. My eyes snapped open to the sound of a goat bleating. My situational awareness instantly spiked to 100%. I turned silently and saw a herd of sheep and goats grazing nearby. This forest was right on the fringe of the village. If the herder spotted me, it would mean massive trouble. My conscience would never allow me to kill an innocent civilian, yet them alerting the enemy would mean my certain execution. Through the gaps in the bushes, I caught flashes of a traditional deep green and red dress. A young Kashmiri shepherdess cradling a newborn kid goat in her arms was walking straight toward my platform. Ever since Mahi's bitter betrayal, I had felt a profound aversion and disgust toward women. Mahi had completely shattered my honor and devotion. I shook my head in anger to clear my thoughts and refocused on the girl. She was humming a sweet, low melody and walked right past me without noticing my presence. 15 yards away, she leaned back against a boulder and sat down, affectionately cradling the goat in her lap. I closed my eyes. My sole concern was ensuring this girl didn't accidentally compromise my position. But just then, a startled goat bolted straight toward my platform, causing the girl to stand up in alarm. Suddenly, out of the deep forest brush, 2 Indian Army soldiers, Pradeep Singh and Salim, emerged. Completely forgetting their operation, Salim locked his predatory eyes onto the girl and said, "Hey princess, what's your name?" Terrified and stammering, the girl replied, "Resham." Salim continued to leer at her with pure lust. Pradeep Singh intervened, saying, "Come on, Salim, let's keep moving. The rest of the search parties will get ahead of us." Hearing Salim's name sent a shockwave of rage through my brain. It disgusted me that a fellow Muslim could be so vile. Pradeep warned him that Captain Prasad Rajan and the Subadar Sahib were already furious. Pradeep mentioned they had only cleared 1 sector so far and still needed to sweep the northern ridge and Sector 2. As they turned to leave, Salim aggressively grabbed Resham by the wrist. She screamed, struggling to break free. Just then, an officer's commanding voice boomed from the distance. "Stop fooling around with the locals and move forward right now." Salim cursed under his breath, let go of Resham's wrist and walked away, though his eyes remained glued to her. They passed right by my platform, but because their focus was entirely on the girl, they didn't bother to inspect the bushes. As the enemy vanished into the forest, I let out a heavy sigh of relief, but it was a fraction of a second too loud. Resham whirled around, gripping her herding staff, and began scanning my platform with deeply suspicious eyes. Realizing the game of hide-and-seek was over, I sat upright on the platform. The sight of an armed operator left her paralyzed with shock. I climbed down and said calmly, "I assume you have no interest in calling those soldiers back." Resham shook her head frantically, replying, "I feel nothing but absolute hatred for those tyrants." The girl spoke broken Urdu while the soldiers used a mix of Hindi and Punjabi, but proper vocabulary was the least of their concerns. My tactical plan required me to keep her from returning to the village until evening, to ensure my safety. Once nightfall arrived, I would vanish into the deeper mountains, and after that she could tell them whatever she pleased. To Ajay, my friend, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next video.